Obutey, who is the Director, Research and Corporate Affairs Manager for the PURC, make that announcement yesterday.
And livelihoods.
Quarterly reviews that we do are based on 4 key factors which we always talk about. One being the fuel price, the other one being the exchange rate variation, and another one being inflation and the generation mix between thermal and the hydro. Now, if we take the exchange rate, for instance, the exchange rate variation between the time we built the tariff last quarter and this quarter, the percentage increase is 20.56%. Last time around, we used an exchange rate of 10.54 cedis to the dollar. This time around, the projected exchange rate is 12.71 cedis.
So that was Dr. Kofi Obutey, who is the Director, Research and Corporate Affairs Manager for the PURC, announced the tariff adjustments. Now, we're trying so hard to reach him on the phone lines. We have not been successful yet. But, my guys, they're still working the phone line, so we get him, for him to help us understand and appreciate how they arrived at this and whether they considered the economic situations the average Ghanaian finds himself or herself in. And again, how we can ourselves, do the calculation. Another concern I have has to do with a lot of waste in the system. There's a lot of wastage in the system because if it comes to, for example, technical losses and commercial losses, they amount to about 30% of what ECG has to give to us, the consumers. So what is being done to ensure that we don't lose 30% of what ECG has to give? Because the bottom line is, according to the PURC, if we don't pay, if they don't adjust the tariffs upwards, Dumso would recur. Now, Stanley is with me in the studios of Love 99.5. He himself is a consumer of electricity. I don't know how he's taking the tariff adjustment. We'll be hearing from him soon. But let me go into the phone lines and speak to Dr. Evans Nunu, who is himself is an economist and a businessman as well. Hi, Evans, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
It's been a very long time. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Well, I'm well. I'm hanging in there. I mean, each and every day, as something new hits us, you wake up each and every day, something new comes your way. And so yesterday we woke up to this news of tariff adjustments. And then, we know that not long ago, I think it began on the 1st of May, the new taxes also kicked in. The Excise Amendment Act 2023, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2023, and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Act 2023 also kicked in from the 1st of May. So a lot of pressure on all of us. Now, yourself as a businessman, and as well as an economist, what do you make of the tariff adjustments as announced by the PURC?
I think that it is too harsh and respectfully, it doesn't make sense. You see, after all, this PURC, what do they really factor in setting these prices? They talk of exchange rates and the likes.
Yeah.
Who is responsible for managing the exchange rate, and on whose behalf is the PURC there? Do we really have a direct role in managing the exchange rate? When the government implements policies, we have people in charge of our fiscal and monetary policies. How competent are they? If the government manages the economy anyhow and the exchange rate deteriorates, we bear the consequences. And I am not too sure that what the PURC is saying is exactly or strictly the case. Why do I say so? We are all very much aware that in the staff level agreement, yes, I'm aware there has been an approval, but obviously the IMF will be off our necks until we are done with whatever restrictions or whatever directives they give us as part of their conditionalities. In many cases, the fact that it has been approved doesn't mean that they are giving us everything. So we are very much aware that in the staff level agreement, there are things the government would have to do, and that includes raking in more revenue and adjusting tariffs with regards to utilities. So, yes, obviously they will find ostensible reasons to tell us that because of this and that, they are increasing it. Look, I have personally had to close down a firm, my company, one of my subsidiaries, because of huge electricity bills before. So I understand exactly how it affects businesses and the impact on businesses. And I don't think that the way we are going is fair. Already, it's very expensive to go because of the ever-increasing policy rate. Now, you've introduced so many taxes. Companies are struggling to pay. Then you hit companies, you hit people with another increment. I don't think that the government is being fair, and the PURC is working on nobody's behalf than the government, and I think that they have to be spoken to.
How come? That
these things they do would only cripple businesses and even erode the general welfare of the Ghanaian people.
Okay, so I'll come back to the IMF bit, later. But the defense of the PURC is that if we need our lights on, if we don't want to experience any more doomsday, then we need to adjust the tariffs upwards. Now, if you're a businessman, if you are a consumer, what we are looking for is to have our lights on. So if this is what it takes, shouldn't that be what they should then be approving or adjusting?
No, you see, that is a lazy way of thinking. Not on because of your question, but on their part, or on the managers of the electricity company. Look, how many amounts of cities were people not owing in recent times when they went around collecting their debt? One company could owe them millions of cities. One company could owe them millions of cities. How, as a company, could you sit down for other firms to owe you to such magnitudes? And they tell us that it is exchange rate. If we don't pay, if they don't increase tariffs, we are going to be in darkness. Look, if they stop the leakages, if they stop the technical losses, if they improve on their competence, and surprisingly, there were even fake meters in the system.
Yeah, the SHEP meters.
Yes,
and there's some other meters that are used. The people have consumed energy or power, and then they just throw them away. And yesterday, per my checks, I got to realize that when it comes to technical and commercial losses, it is about 30% of what ECG has. So definitely means that there's a big problem there when it comes to technical and commercial losses. I'm hoping we'll get Dr. Eric Kofi Obutey on the line, because I would like for him to address that better as to how or what they're doing to ensure that we reduce to the barest minimum the technical and the commercial losses. But Lulu, is your concern about the percentage increase or the entire increase in tariffs?
No. Now, if you state me carefully, you realize that most of us talk about the margins, the percentage increase. This time around, it's about everything in totality. Look, I personally, when this CEO took over, you realize that there was a time they had a problem with their software. I don't know whether you remember, but they had issues. So people went to buy credit and they were not getting credit.
Yeah.
The credit was not being able to be sold out because they had technical challenge. They had issue with their software. And it was because there was a cartel at the ECG that I personally went there to ask what was happening. And according to the information I had, the CEO is so competent, so honest, and so was attempting restructure things to avoid some leakages even within their own quarters. And some people who felt they were so powerful attempted to sabotage him. Now, until this man took over, so we had been dealing with this issue. There had been a cartel there who never bothered about losses, who never bothered about leakages. You understand? And all these things have been piling up. So now, if they tell us that if they don't increase tariffs, we are going to be in darkness, I don't agree. I think that this particular increment had been very unfair, and the PURC must set up. Are the people who owe the company paid? Have they all paid the amount they owe the company? Why are they attempting to impoverish the people of Ghana? Look, this thing has really gotten on my nerves. I don't think that they have been fair. Look at how Ghanaians are struggling now. Looking at the level of inflation, looking at the fact that the government is not doing anything to increase salaries in general. Obviously, we have got to accept the fact that it is only at the end of the year, when we are starting another business year, that the government, or working year, that the government will increase salaries of public sector workers and probably adjust the minimum wage, and that would have a toll on the private sector. And so we have all kept our hands crossed, waiting for the next adjustment. Then the government, because it has the latitude to be increasing things, would go about increasing everything when salaries are stagnant. Now, that is a clear theft of the people's purchasing power. And I think that we must stand up and speak against it. We don't have to allow the government to do whatever it likes simply because it has the right, it has the power to do so. I don't think the government is being fair to the people of Ghana.
So I said a while ago that I was going to return to your thoughts and the comments you made about the IMF, and you saying that this is part of the conditionalities that maybe the IMF proposed to Ghana before the support came in. But let me ask this. So now as we speak, well, we've got the IMF approval. Some 600 million is going to hit the accounts of government soon. Now, the IMF support is supposed to help, stabilize our economy by way of inflation, maybe even stabilize the CD and all that. Now, if we're told that it has to do with the price of fuel, it has to do with inflation and the CD to dollar, exchanges, do you think that the IMF coming in to our aid will help reduce tariffs going forward? Because the review is done quarterly. So first quarter, they increased it. Second quarter, 18.36%. Do you think that with the IMF support coming in now, going forward, things might stabilize? Again, we're doing with thermal and hydro, and we have the rainfall coming in now. So maybe there'll be more rains in the Bui or the Akosombo Dam. So going forward, what do you think we should expect? Again, looking at the IMF approval that has come through.
Yes, it is a general principle in economics and in most fields of study that prices are generally sticky downwards. So yes, if what they are saying, and it's almost as if Ghanaians are too tolerant. I expect that when things are nice, when things are relaxed, especially with the coming in of the first tranche from the IMF, obviously I know that will have a positive impact on us because we have other foreign reserves, and that is supposed to have a positive effect on the cities. But I don't think that the level of reduction will be commensurate with the increments that we had seen in recent times. It is just commonsensical that prices will not be reduced to the extent of the increments. And I don't think that it helps us. So if we all sit down for the government to keep increasing tariffs, thinking that when the IMF helps us, it will come down, we'll be deceiving ourselves. Because I can tell you that now that they are increasing over 18%, at a point they can just come down by 5%, and it wouldn't be the same. Meanwhile, salaries are not going up. People are just where they are. Inflation is already tearing people apart. And the government is intentionally increasing general price levels of things that it has control of. I don't think that we have to sit down and keep quiet. We have to speak against it. And if we don't speak against it, thinking that there's coming that time prices will go down, I can assure you that even if they bring it down, it will not be commensurate with the increment we've seen in recent times. So it is better we speak against it for the government to be aware that we are comfortable with the behavior it is putting up.
Well, we're having a conversation with Evans Nunu. He's an economist. He's a business person. He thinks that the adjustment of tariffs upward is too harsh. He thinks that Ghanaians should sit up and should not, be tolerating some of these things. I'll be asking why soon. But fortunately for us, we have on the phone lines as well Dr. Kofi Obutey, and he's Director Research and Corporate Affairs for the PURC. Doc, good morning to you, and thank you very much for your time this morning.
Hello.
Hi, sir. Can you hear me? Good morning.
The line is rather very faint. Is there anything you can do about the line, please?
I just did some adjustment to it. Is it better, sir?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Is it better?
It's not. I'm straining my ears, but I'll see if I can follow you. I'm gonna have to strain my ears.
Okay, so whilst we talk, we'll try and do some adjustments to see if you can hear us better. But help us appreciate, Doctor, as to how the PURC, arrived, the factors that you considered before arriving at this tariff adjustment. For the benefit of my listeners, run us through it. Okay,
if I get you right, you said you wanted to know the factors that underpin the tariff that we came up with, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. There are basically about three factors that we considered in coming up with this tariff. One of them is the fuel price that we have. The fuel price, that's the weighted average cost of gas, has shot up by 6.9%. And then we have the exchange rate variation between what we used in January 2023 and what we are using in May 2023. And that variation is about 20.58%. And then we have what we call the under recovery. The last time that we did a tariff, we applied only about 75% of the exchange rate. We did not pass through the full exchange rate effect. So there was a component of under recovery of 25%. and that 25% has to be recovered in a way. So we add that component of 25% under recovery. And if you put all this together, the combined effect is that the tariff has to be adjusted upwards marginally.
If you say marginal, 18.36 is not marginal, is it?
Well, it could have been much more than 18.36 if we were supposed to pass through the full effect. That's what I'm saying. We did not pass through the full effect. If you had to pass through the full effect of the adjustment, it would have been more than the 18.36%.
Okay, so help us appreciate this. What percentage increase would we have been looking at if we wanted to pass on the full effect of it?
In order to pass through the full effect, we would have been looking at 27.5%.
27.5%?
Yes.
But in all this, you mentioned, the Forex, you mentioned fuel prices, you mentioned a few other things, in there. Did you also, in coming or arriving at the 18.36%, did you consider the economic hardships that Ghanaians are faced with right now? I was mentioning a while ago that there's been the introduction of some new taxes. All right. So, for example, we have the Excise Amendment Act 2023, the Income Tax Amendment Act 2023, and the Growth and Sustainability Levy Act 2023. So, people who are into the business sector, who are into production, they are saying that this is going to worsen their situation. Did you consider the economic situation that the ordinary Ghanaian is in?
Yes, the Commission considered all of that. The Commission considered the economic situation in the country and considered that factories have to run, but also looked at the fact that if this is not done, there's the likelihood that it will have a negative impact on consumers in terms of employment, have a negative impact of the factories or industries themselves because they might not get the power to generate or to produce their wares. And also the Commission took the fact that the economic situation on the ground is not too good, so we should not pay the full effect of the tariff, and that we should reduce it by 50%. So what we are paying now is about 50% of what we are supposed to be paying actually. So the Commission actually took all these factors into consideration before arriving at this particular rate.
Well, I have an economist on the phone line that I was engaging with before you joined us. He says it is harsh. He says he's even had to close down one of his factories or businesses. Would you say or agree with him when he says it is harsh?
I really do not know how to go about this one, but I would just say that, well, this is what we have on the ground, and we've done the best we can under the circumstances to come up with these tariffs. It is not in the interest of the Commission to be increasing tariffs. No, that's not our mandate. We are not just there to be increasing tariffs. We are there also to make sure that people are able to afford the tariffs that we give out there. But in the conditions on the ground, we have no control over the conditions on the ground. The utility service providers also have no control over the conditions on the ground. And we want the power to keep our lights on. Then obviously something has to be done about it. And that's what we try to do, but try to, as much as possible, alleviate the pain or the impact that it will have on the ordinary person and businesses as well.
So tell me this, if you say that you're not just there to increase tariffs, I'm sure that you're also there for the ordinary Ghanaian who is a consumer of electricity. Oftentimes we have these tariff adjustments happening and they go upwards. Does it reflect in customer satisfaction? Do you think that the ECG is doing well for its customer and that we're enjoying the upward adjustments all the time?
Well, what we have is that we have some benchmarks that we hold the utility service providers to. Mind you, the electrical utility service providers are not just ECG. We have the generators, we have the transmitters, and we have the distributors. ECG only comes in because they interface with the consumers. But we have Gridco, and we have VRA and other generators as well. So all that is being sought out now is not only for ECG, but it's for the entire electrical sector. And the quality of service benchmarks that we have them to be sure that all these people are able to hold them to account and make sure that the tariffs that we are giving to them, we deliver on these tariffs. Sometimes they might tell you that we do not give them the full effect, so maybe all that they want to do, they are not able to do it all. But we make sure that at least to the best of our ability, we deliver on the quality of service that we give to them, the benchmarks that we give to them. Sometimes they have to rest some of the machines for maintenance. And when they have to rest the machines for maintenance, obviously there will be power outages because some of the machines have to be rested. And the load, we cannot give if you have 5 people to serve and all you have is 2, definitely you have a load management. So sometimes you might have this type of load management all over the place, but it's not a perpetual thing that we have.
As we speak, is there any load management ongoing? Because it looks as if every evening, within some space of days, there are outages. Do we have any challenge in the system?
To the best of my abilities, I don't know of any load management, and there's no timetable to that effect. All I know is that maybe there are some gas challenges and some of the plants have some challenges. So those ones are being looked at and fixed.
Because if we keep paying increases in tariffs and it does not reflect in the supply, then it's quite disheartening and very unfortunate. But let's talk a bit about the wastage in the system, Mr. Obutey, because there are technical losses as well as commercial losses. And I was even asking my economics friend on the line as to why we have allowed this to fester. Now, we're told that it amounts to about, 30% of what ECG has to give to its consumers. So what has been done, or what is being done about these technical and commercial losses? We have some chef meters in the system. People use them, throw them away. People have done illegal connections. Yesterday we were talking about KDT that owes ECGs some 5.4 million and all that. People owe. So if we say ECG wants money to be able to run its system or the chain of supply, they need money, and yet people owe and are not paying. People are stealing. Shouldn't we be fixing that instead of be adjusting tariffs all the time?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why you see recently ECG embarked on revenue collection drive, and they set out to collect about 5.2 billion. They said they were able to collect about 3.2 billion. We are yet to verify that one, but they set out to collect about 5.2 billion, and they ended up collecting about 3.2 billion. And what the commission does is to make sure that at least whatever it is that we have given to them, they are able to collect. There's a benchmark that we give to them. They are supposed to collect about 98% of whatever that they bill. That is a benchmark that the commission has given to them. So if they are able to collect 98% of whatever that has been billed, then it is assumed that they've collected about 100% of it, for which reason they will not need even much more for that. Now, if they are not able to collect all of that, it eats into their own revenues. The commission does not give them anything beyond what they are supposed to get. Technical standards that we give to them, we give them 10% of the technical losses. That if you are producing, you can lose about 10% because the machines will overheat and you will lose some power along that. Now, commercial losses is about 11%. So, from the commission standpoint, we give them about 21% for losses. Anything beyond that, the commission does not countenance that. So it's not an issue of we just give them the tariffs based on the inefficiencies. All inefficiencies are cut out before the tariff is given.
As we speak, Mr. Obutey, Dr. Obutey, are we aware how much losses by way of percentage that the ECG is having right now? You mentioned it should not go beyond 10 for technical, it should not go beyond 11 for commercial, making 21. What is the situation on the ground right now? What is the percentage of losses we're talking about?
Well, just as you said, they are in the region of 29%. So all efforts are being made, and the commission is on their case to make sure that they reduce the losses that they are making from their end. Because if they don't reduce their losses, it eats into their revenues.
Exactly.
And so the commission will not countenance any inefficiencies in setting the tariffs.
So looking at the situation on the ground right now, did you factor that also into this increase of 18.36?
We do only the 21% that I talked to you about. Anything beyond 21%, we don't consider that. Because what we do is an incentive-based tariff.
Okay.
If they do anything below the 21% that we set for them, the gains they get. Anything beyond the 21% is a loss to them, and the commission does not consider that.
So you do this exercise quarterly?
Yes, please.
What are we to expect in the next quarter? Is this supposed to go up again?
Well, it will depend on how those 4 parameters that I mentioned earlier, how they behave on the ground. Exchange rate, inflation, the fuel price, as well as the generation mix between hydro and thermal. If all these 4 factors that I mentioned improve, obviously it will impact positively on the tariff.
So let's say, for example, the IMF approval is in, which of course is supposed to help stabilize the economy, maybe help the city stabilize, also bring down inflation, which are some of the things you considered. the rains are in, so maybe we'd have more rains in our dams, so therefore the hydro would be giving us more power. Those are the things we need to be hoping for. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, please.
Okay. Having said all this, I didn't hear anything about water. Why?
Well, the water is being looked at, so in the next few days, maybe you hear something from the water side as well.
Do you have any rough idea as to how much increase there might be?
So no, I have no idea.
I see. All right, so now let's talk about how we can calculate to get to know how much we'll be paying for when it comes to the 18.36.
David.
Yeah.
Can you let me help us with this?
Okay.
Now, so I'm trying to understand why they factor in fuel price and exchange rate. So if you could do information on why they factor in exchange rate.
Dr. Obutey, can you help us with the response, please?
Hello, no, I can hear someone talking.
Okay, so he says he wants to know why you use the exchange rate as part of the tariff adjustments. Why do you use that?
Why we use exchange rate as part of the tariff adjustment?
Yes, sir.
Oh, because obviously the utilities also import things from outside, and they use the dollar to import. And if you don't consider the exchange rate, obviously when they are going to buy from outside, they don't use the Ghana cedi to buy. They will need the dollar to buy. So we have to consider the exchange rate and the losses that they make on the exchange rate. We have to consider that. And they don't have control over the exchange rate. It's beyond them. So we need to, those 4 factors I mentioned, they are beyond their control. Exchange rate is beyond their control. Inflation is beyond their control. The fuel price is beyond their control. The generation mix between thermal and hydro, just as you said, when we have more rains, obviously there will be more water to generate from hydro. If we have lack of rains and we can't get more hydro to generate, it will impact negatively on the tariff. So these 4 factors that I mentioned are beyond their control. That's why we look at them on a quarterly basis.
And again, for example, Nigeria would increase its gas prices or figures, and therefore when we're going to buy gas from Nigeria, it affects the whole thing. Is that it?
Well, that's why we call it the weighted average cost of gas. We get some gas from Ghana. We have 10, we have Sankofa, and then we get some gas from Nigeria as well. So we mix it, put it in a pot, and do the computation, weight it, and come up with a particular price.
All right. So let's now take a look at how I can calculate to get to know whether I'm paying the 18.36 or not. Is it a simple calculation of, let's say, a Ghana cedi amount? For example, if I buy every week 50 Ghana cedis, I multiply by 1.1836 and get 59.18, or I need to use the PURC tariffs reckoner? Which one works better?
Please, you can use the tariff reckoner. I'm glad you know about the PURC tariff reckoner. If you input whatever you put into the tariff reckoner, is to give you exactly whether how much you are consuming and how much you have to pay. You can input the price in terms of money that you have 50 cedis, and it will tell you exactly the consumption that you get. You can put in your consumption level and to tell you how much you have to pay for that. So either way, it's fine. But you can even use what we have. If you go onto our website, you see everything is there. You have the summary of the tariff rates, which are all there, depending on the class in which you fall in. Whether you are a lifeliner, a residential customer, or other residential customers, or an SLT, we call it SLT, that's special load tariff. It's all there on the website, so you can check and see where you fall in, and then the price that you have to pay. It's all there.
All right, so Dr. Obutey, help me here. This morning when I came to work, I told my colleague about this PURC tariff reckoner, and he decided to do his calculation himself to get to know how much he spends. Now, he was first of all trying to use cedis, and then later he wanted to use a kilowatt per hour usage. And the amount he was getting was crazy. It doesn't seem to be correct. So his name is Leo. Leo, please, I ask you to do a check. What did you find?
Okay, so in front of me is the list of the tariffs on the paper. So this one says all other residential customers from 0 to 300 kilowatts. Before you were going to pay 115.7212 Ghana cedis, and now
no, that is pesos.
He says it's pesos.
All our tariffs are in Ghana pesos per kilowatt hour. So if the 115 you see over there is 115 pesos. So in terms of cedis, that will be 1 cedi 15 pesos per kilowatt hour. And from 1 cedi 15 pesos per kilowatt hour, now from June you have to pay 1 cedi 36 pesos per kilowatt hour. That's per unit.
But then
so all the tariffs are in Ghana pesos.
On the app, if I type in 300 kilowatts, and then I calculate, it gives me energy. The energy consumption is 347.16.
No, did you type in the amount, or you type in the what do we call it?
I typed in the kilowatts. That's 300 kWh. In the section where it's it's highlighted red. So I typed in 300, and then it's named kWh, and then the calculation says energy charge is 347.16. The levies is 17.36, and the service charge is 10.73. So the total amount in Ghana cedis, according to this app, is 375.25.
Is that correct, sir?
Okay, so if once you use our reckoner, then that is it. Once you use a reckoner, that is there. That is true. Because you can use the same thing. If you use the 300, you can use the 1.36. And if you use the 1.36, from here, if you calculate if you calculate the 1.36 over, you might not get the correct amount, because what we have here is devoid of the taxes, the levies. The levies and the taxes, we don't have control over them. We only price energy. The levies and the taxes are given to us by Parliament. Is beyond us.
Okay, but here the energy says the energy charge here is 347.16, and that's when I typed. But then on the list of the paper that was published yesterday,
the PURC has made available.
Yeah, that one, it says here. I don't know the difference between the figures here and the money that is being mentioned here. But this one says 1.36.9676. You said that's in pesos. But then if I type 300 kWh in the app, is giving me 347.16.
Because we are doing this over phone, I'm not too sure what we are looking at. But if you use our reckoner, tariff reckoner, it should give you exact amount that you are supposed to pay if you key in the consumption level in which you are.
Does the amount include the taxes you talked about?
Yes, on the reckoner there, you have the taxes. But what you have on the paper, that one does not include the taxes. That's just the energy charge.
Okay.
So if you do the energy charge, you have to add the taxes to it. That's the levies that you have there. You have to add the levies to it, which will give you the true amount that you will get to pay.
I hear you. So, listeners, we're talking to Dr. Kofi Obutey. He is the Director, Research and Corporate Affairs Manager for the PURC. The PURC have come out with tariff adjustments upwards, and we're going to pay 18.36 more for electricity starting the 1st of June. Now, Mr. Nuno, you say that you have a business of yours has collapsed because of all these things. Going forward, how do you think businesses should do things so they stay afloat? How do you think Ghanaians, individuals, should manage themselves? You're an economist and a businessman. How should individuals themselves go about things just to be able to get by? Because you know that the CD in our pockets does not really take us home at the end of the day when we're paid.
Yes, I will answer that, but I want to state that the answer that was given with regards to why we factor in so much the exchange rate and at the same time fuel price, I think that I'm not too comfortable with it. Forgive me, because the truth is, if ECG imports from outside, what specifically do they import? And do they import every quarter? And do they import the same things every quarter? Because as much as I'm aware, for example, if they import meters, they will sell it to the public. And so why don't they sell it as specific, realistic price?
No, why are you only looking at it from the ECG perspective? Because we know there's a chain. So there's VRA, there's Gridco. They all may do some purchases that might involve dollars. And that is why they factor it in. Dr. Obutey, am I right? He's saying...
You're very right. I said that we have a value chain. It's not only ECG that is the electricity value chain. We have generators, we have transmitters, and we have the distribution. But we interface more with ECG. So it's ECG that most consumers know about. But ECG only collects the money in the sector and pays the various parties in the sector.
Yes, so what I mean is that for example, for fuel, if it is factored in every time, I do understand, because it's more recurrent. But what I'm saying is that if they are factoring in exchange rate at the same time fuel price, I'm not too sure you are getting where the drift. The point is that you may buy specific things, But do they have to buy the same thing all over, every point, every quarter? To understand that we always hear this. And let me also say that before they were able to retrieve the 3.2 billion he was talking about, when they were adjusting tariffs, were they on their necks to do the right things before they brought those tariffs? Because we cannot sit here as consumers and be paying high tariffs when ECG is not doing its work well. But it's almost as if the PURC is being too friendly with them. Because if they are supposed to also seek the interest of consumers, then I think that they have to push them to be doing the right things so that we don't end up paying more. So for me, as far as these leakages are in the system, as far as we have such huge losses, in as much as we are not very much aware of the specific things they buy, that is supposed to influence the factoring in of the exchange rate, I think that they have to help us as consumers. Because even if they would, then they have to also tell us what is the specific weight attributed to all these factors. What percentages do they assign to these specific factors, so that we are aware that they are being fair to us? Because if it is not as if they are always buying transformers, they are always buying cables, but anytime they are adjusting tariffs, they will have to factor in
all those things.
Rate.
All right.
And I don't think that we are understanding where they are coming from. We do understand where they are coming from.
All right, so hold on for me, Nunu. Dr. Obutey, any response to what he said?
Sorry, the line was not too good, but the little I heard was like, we keep on factoring in exchange rate. We should not be factoring in exchange rate. Is that right?
All the time, yes.
That said, for the exchange rate, for instance, they don't have control over it, and we from the Commission also do not have control over the exchange.
He's talking about what they use the dollars to buy. It is not constant. It's not something that happens every day or every week.
So in terms of what? In terms of what? Because like what I keep on saying is that the amount that we are giving out is not only for ECG. Don't forget, I said we have the weighted average cost of gas.
Yeah.
The gas is something you have to buy constantly to generate power. And VRA or Sonon Asogli or any of the IPPs, they will not give the power to ECG for free. When they generate the power with the cost of the gas, they have to wheel the power to ECG. RICO will not transmit the power for free.
I hear you.
RICO will charge ECG. ECG will only collect the money and pay all these people.
Yeah, yes, Dr. Nunu.
Yes, that is where I have a problem, because fuel, they factor in fuel prices. So if you factor in fuel prices, and that is supposed to be the X pump, if it were the normal fuel, for example, let me give you a scenario. If it were the normal fuel we are talking about, we have the X pump price and we have the X refinery price. Now, when we are considering the X refinery price, we bring in exchange rate, but you cannot increase prices at the X pump and still attempt to elsewhere factor in exchange rate. So if they are factoring the fuel price, general fuel price increment, I understand. But if they also add exchange rate, that is where my problem is. Because they may use one of them, but if they want to use both, then they should be specific with regard to exactly what they are importing into the system. That is accounting for the factoring of exchange rate. Otherwise, if you talk about gas, if the increment in fuel prices not catering for that part, I don't know whether you get my point.
If I get you right, you see, the fuel, for instance, we are talking of, we are not talking of LCO. Or we are not talking of, what do we call it, normal fuel at the pumping stations. We are talking of something like HFO, maybe heavy fuel oil, or DFO, or LCO. Or we talk of the gas, it's of raw gas, not the gas that LPG gas. So those ones, we don't have control over them. And the utilities does not have control over it. We don't have control over the fuel prices. And those ones, you cannot pay in cedis. You have to pay in dollars. When you have to pay your IPPs, you have to pay the IPPs in dollars. The contract that we sign is not a CD contract. The IPPs will have to take their money out. So to pay you in dollars, you need dollars to do that. So this, you have to consider the exchange rate at all costs. You can't do without the exchange rate.
So, Nunu, what impact is this going to have on businesses and individuals? And who do you think is going to suffer the most here?
Yes, so obviously it would affect how much profit you make. It will increase the cost of production or the cost of doing business, and that is quite obvious. So I know very good hotels in Kumasi and elsewhere who are using solar now. So the most obvious thing to do is to now attempt to either augment or switch to solar or any other source of energy, so that you can really survive in this system. Because from the way things are going, it doesn't look like the government is, or the PURC itself is ready to help us as much as I am aware. So yes, we may look at alternative sources of energy as much as possible that are cheaper than what we are seeing now. But
aside from that, Dr. Obutey, are you also aware that there's a lot of illegal connections in the system? People cannot pay anymore. They're finding always means possible to have their power on, so they are going into illegal connections. It is illegal. I'm not supporting it, but I'm saying that they cannot pay. They think it's too hard on them. They're finding other alternatives, including illegal connections.
Well, the Commission has tasked ECG because, we are not into apprehending or getting the corporates who are illegally connected, but it is a task or the duty of ECG to do that. So ECG is on the ground. They have men on the ground to do that and to make sure that all illegal connections are regularized. And I think recently the MD of ECG also gave, I don't know how to call it, but he gave the room to people who are illegally connected to regularize their connections so as to make sure that they get the right source of power and then they get appropriate bills to pay as well.
I hear you. Dr. Obutey, well, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it. Only, as a Ghanaian as myself, I would say that we're in a tight fix, including me. With this 18.36%, I'm wondering how I'm going to manage myself to pay. Well, thank you, sir, for your time.
I agree with you because I'm also a consumer. I pay my electricity bills. I pay water bills. My salary has not improved. It's the same. I feel the pinch as well. And I'm not happy that tariffs should just be going up. But the situation on the ground merits that should happen. So that's why we came up with this. I'm not sure.
Does it ever come down? Does it ever come down? Does it ever come down?
Say again?
Does it ever come down?
Oh yeah, we came down at least on two different occasions. Tariffs were reduced. In 2018 and in 2010, tariffs were reduced. In 2018, I think the tariffs were reduced by 17.5%. So yes, tariffs have been
2010 and then later 2018. So it's always going up, hardly comes down.
It's all dependent on the factors that are on the ground. If the factors improve, as I said, obviously it will impact on the tariffs. So we only pray that the factors that I mentioned earlier on would improve considerably. Because in the setting up of the quarterly tariffs, we do not even consider capital expenditure. It's only operational expenses that we consider. Capital expenditure we only consider when we are doing the major tariffs. But in the quarterly tariffs, we only look at the operational expenditures. And those four factors which I mentioned to you, we need to keep the utilities running or else they grind to a halt.
I hear you, Dr. Eric Kofi Obutey. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And of course, you, Dr. Ivan Sununu, as well. Thank you very much. They say, Charlie, they cannot do anything about it. They say they have been considered pow. So that's where we are. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Okay, thank you very much, too.
All right,
thank
sir.
You.
All right, so you've heard them. The economist says, Charlie, more than rough. Or see the business crack, be collapsing. The PURC says, well, they considered the economic situation we find ourselves in and arrived at this 18.36. What's your own say? What do you have to say about all that you have heard so far? You can call us on 03220-83596, 03220-83597, 03220-83598. The tariff adjustments, the tariff increases that has been announced is going to take effect from the 1st of June. What do you make of it? Kofi, good morning and welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Bernie. How are you?
I am well, Kofi. Good to have you.
Yes, you see, Dave, sometimes we wish the PURC person that we talk to, if we had come to the studio, it would have been better. Because there are questions that we want you to ask, but you don't. And we can put that questions to him. Look, let nobody behave as if we don't know what necessitated this increase. It is one of the IMF conditionalities. When the finance minister went to Washington. He told the reporters that we need to pay realistic tariff. And so what the PURC person is telling us that it is a marginal increase. It's a lie. It is the reality. It is the real tariff that we are supposed to pay. That is what he has given us. So they shouldn't throw dust on our eyes and tell us that it's a marginal increase. If he was to be in the studio, we have put this person to him.
But if you listen carefully to you might have heard Evans Nunu say it emphatically that is part of the IMF conditionalities. Nunu said it, and there's no doubt about it. Everybody knows that. So thank you very much, Kofi. Do we have Political Thinker on the line? Hi, Political Thinker. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Man. David Akuetteh.
Yes, boss. Good morning. I'm well, Political Thinker. Welcome. Let's hear you.
Yeah, I think this ECG people, they are too lazy in terms of revenue collections, because from so many years back, they will come and give you a meter, they will give you light, they will go back. It can take 1 year without any bills. So they will gather all the bills one day and then they put it on you. Like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, thereabout. How can that person pay that amount? And this thing has happened like so many years ago, and there is no solution to it up to date.
Thank you very much, Political Thinker. And again, if you listen to the ECG when we have engagements with them, they say they have advised and suggested that, listen, even though there are occasions they have challenges from their end, you go and every month pay something small so that that amount of money, the consumption does not accrue to a big sum where you complain about it. So when you do some small commitment of payment every month, you will not be swallowed by big bills. Thanks very much, Political Thinker. Mr. Nyako, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Hi, Nyako, let's hear you.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm hanging in here.
Thank God. Dave, I can't remember the visionary leader, John Dramani Mahama. They introduced what we call this energy levy fund. May I know so far the conditions of the fund?
All right, so we'll get our fact checker to fact check it, and we'll bring you some information on it, Mr. Nyako.
Is the fund now functioning? Because it was introduced to cater or to cushion us in the case of this instrument.
Yeah.
And is the fund functioning now?
We'll find out and give you some information, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Nyako. Daniel, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Welcome, sir.
Good work there. Thank you. Dave, God will never forgive these leaders what they are doing to us. You see, you asked a question, a fundamental question that he is supposed to answer it. He couldn't. You see, I have worked in one of these industries for 3 years. They are owing them a huge amount of money. When the engineers came there, when they came, we collect money and leave them continue working using the power. You see, I was there for 3 years. I don't want to mention that company's name. They know it. Yet they say they want to increase the tariff because they are not able to afford to pay what they call social and social tax or something like that. So what they are saying, is it true or is lies? They are telling us lies. They always come on TV, on radio, and speak so many grammar. Yet, they know what they are saying is not right. God will never forgive them. I'm telling you, these are leaders. God will never forgive them.
Daniel, I hear you. Nana Kweku is next on the line. Hi, Nana. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Okay, as my personal friend, please, these parents living home today, you have both sexes as your kids at home. Have you educated them about this biological changes that will happen to your, the male knowing what will happen to the sister, and then the sister knowing what will happen to the brother, so that when they find themselves in this situation, they wouldn't start, putting them to shame. Parents, let's do our best, and teachers to let's do our best. That's our conversation. You know what? Are you aware fuel prices there's been some taxes on it? The government has just decided to bundle all taxes and everything now because of the hardness. The conversation will just be on the NDC organizing their elections and then IMF and everything. So they've just, and then they've added taxes on the fuel, and then now this. Thinking that we didn't talk about this. And in fact, they've done it also in 2023. So 2024, there might be no taxes and everything, and thinking that Ghanaians we do forget. I keep telling them, we are tricksters, politicians. But in Ghana now, 30 years after elections from 1992, we've learned our lessons. We know what is good and we know our left from right. Thinking that they come and fool us, please, politicians, please.
I hear you. We'll pick 2 more calls and then we'll call it a day here this morning. Ishak, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Welcome, sir. Oh, are you aware we're coming to Amase Central? Jacobu?
I am not aware, but I'm around.
We'll come to Jacobu. We're bringing some sanitary pads, so expect us.
I will be expecting you, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Dave?
Yes, sir.
I have taken a meter for over a year now. I've been going there trying to be captured. And if they say that you can pay small with money until, if they say you can pay small until the bill is brought to you, that cannot be true. Because they say they have not captured you. So why are you going to pay it? They don't have any account that they are going to be paying that small money until your meter is captured. And so,
explain to me. Sorry, forgive me. How are you given a meter by the ECG and it's not captured? I know that it will be captured, but you might not get bills to pay. Because if they're bringing it to you, they've already captured it in their system before they come to do the installation on your premises.
Yes, but it is difficult getting meters too from them. So sometimes you get some from other contractors.
So then maybe it might be an illegal meter you have. And then when you have found out, a bigger problem for you.
To me, they have come to the house, they have checked, and then they have taken in the initial stage, they asked me to bring my Ghana card, everything, and I have photocopies, and I have sent it. And anytime I go there, they say they haven't captured it yet.
Okay.
And so, and I've been worrying them how I could pay into any account so that it will save me from paying a huge meter when they finally capture.
Ishak, what I'm doing for you now is we have taken your number. We'll get in touch with you and then see what we can do to help you solve this problem once and for all.
My second problem is that, Dave, over a year now, electricity tariffs have gone up, I think 30, another 30, and another 18, so over 78%. So right now my consumption, how are they going to be able to put the right figures on them? Because I have used it for 2 months, then it has increased to 30%, another 2 months, 30%. How are you going to be able to get, different consumptions with different, increments? How are you going to do it finally? Is it going to be that the final one right now is what you are going to use to do the calculations for me?
All right, so I know that the adjustments will also be done by the ECG at their end. Once the tariff adjustments are announced by the PURC, the ECG is given some time. That's why it's going to kick in from the 1st of June. The ECG will be given some time to do the adjustment so that from the 1st of June, once you buy your credit or once you use the meter, the adjustments will reflect. Thank you very much, Ishak. Let's switch to our very final caller. Salam, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome, sir.
It's so painful to see every day you have a budget and you wake up in the morning and the budget is overflowing. Too bad. It's too bad. You know, sometimes I'm a businessman. What about the workers? What about the civil servants? Their salary is not increasing, and you're increasing utility bills every day, and you expect somebody to stay calm and say, will not steal the electricity. I will steal it. Whether you like it or not, I will. If they cut me, let them take me to court and do whatever they have to do. I'm not encouraging it, but this is a way of encouraging people to do it. Go to Togo, their bills are always the same. Their duties at the port is always the same. They sit at the shop, the people clear their goods and bring it to them. But today you put the container at the port, you don't know how much you're going to pay. You're paying this today, tomorrow you're paying something else. It's too bad. And this is not how to treat the citizens. Whatever way they have to do it, people will steal, and they will still keep stealing. And the government is losing, by the way, because if you're supposed to pay a little bit and get this light, and today they're increasing it, tomorrow they're increasing it, people will go there and steal it. But if it is...
Salam, I allow the first one to slide. Don't steal power. Don't steal power. You heard, Dr. Ivan Sunu say that, well, we should not keep quiet about this. Maybe to his mind, we should speak against it. Maybe, hit the streets and let the government know that times are not really, cool for the many Ghanaians. But for stealing power and stealing any other thing that is an illegality, I will not condone it. Like you said, so what? If you are arrested and you're taken to court and then you're fined bigger, or maybe you're sent into prison, is that what you're looking for? Salam, please. All those stuff, don't do the wrong things. Now let's talk about safety and security, because Willie Locks has its doors brought in from Israel, and these are internal and external doors. Now their doors are elegant, affordable, and durable. It has gladiator locking systems, 13-bolt locks all round into a galvanized steel frame. The doors do not make noise, and when you open or close them, they don't make noise. It's specifically coated with powder paint to avoid peeling off. The paint, it weighs over 60 kg for a single door. It comes in single large, 1.5, and double doors. Now you can also order for special height doors. And their doors are made of galvanized steel, so it is rust-free. At Woody Locks, keys are coded with 5 keys per lock, which cannot be duplicated. Now, if you want peace of mind, if you want security at home, at your office, at the bank, well, even at your warehouse, go straight to Woody Locks to have a door that lasts so long without any replacement. There is a special offer for architects, building contractors, and real estate developers. Contact them today. You'll be glad you did. Get to their showroom at Kwahoma of the Durban Sokoban Road, or call them, or even send a WhatsApp message to 050-8777-755 or 0575-777-755. Woodley Locks, we protect what matters most to you. It's a new day. Today is the 18th of May. And as you go about your daily activities, maybe you have the right energy to do all that you intend to do. But maybe, just maybe, your energy levels have run low and you're wondering what to do. Don't worry. Lucozade has got you covered. Lucozade with glucose will restore your energy during your everyday routine like today. So wake up your vim with Lucozade. Do this every day and restore your energy. And this advert is FDA approved. Now I've got some great news for you as a parent for your children. Fun time for the kids means fun time with DSTV. Now DSTV is the home of the best DSTV is the home of the best kids entertainment with something exciting for children of all ages. And you know what the best part is, that whilst they watch the content on DSTV, they learn as well. So give them premium enjoyment with shows such as Coco Melon on Moonbug on DSTV channel 318, Paw Patrol on Nicktoons channel 308, Teens Titans go on to Cartoon Network channel 301, PL Masks Power Heroes on Disney channel 309, and so much more. Reconnect or stay connected by dialing *759# to make your kids not to miss out on all the fun times and all the laughs on DSTV. Now, LTTGO wishes to announce to its cherished customers that all unregistered SIMs will be permanently disconnected effective 31st of May 2023, in line with the NCA's directive. So customers who are not yet, customers who are yet to complete their SIM registration are entreated to visit their nearest Airtel Tigo shop immediately with their Ghana card to avoid permanently losing their numbers. Now, what's more, you get up to 5 GB free data instantly after your registration is completed. So get registered now. Airtel Tigo Life is simple. Now, let me tell you also about something great for your children. I love children, and I want them to grow and grow well and grow healthy. And let me tell you about Cerelac. Having your baby try out different tastes and flavors isn't just about giving them a change of taste. This helps to develop their palates and, of course, prepares them better for accepting varieties of adult food as they grow. So go ahead and try any of the 6 Cerelac variants. I'm talking about wheat, maize, rice, biscuity, fruit pieces, and millet. Now, remember, each bowl of Cerelac contains goodness that helps your child's normal growth and development. Cerelac is all good, mom, and this advert is FDA approved. So if we talk about wheat, for example, if your child grows, a child will be eating some bread made of wheat. Maybe the child will be drinking cocoa, eating banku, or eating, kenke, maize. And then the jollof rice, the fried rice, and all those varieties of rice. Well, rice. That's how they come. They have Cerelac made of rice. And then they have the biscuity. And then they have the fruity pieces, all made of fruits. And then the millet, and stuff like that. So treat your child well, feed your child well, and let your child grow well. Well, in a bit, we'll be crossing over to Joy 99.7, where we'll be talking